Hello everyone, welcome to another video on the channel and welcome to my first video featuring Gran Turismo 7. Now I always said that the very first video I was going to put out with Gran Turismo 7's release was a slipstream strength comparison between it and Gran Turismo Sport, so here we are, very first video featuring Gran Turismo 7. Slipstream comparison video. Now, if you've watched any of my live streams in the past and any of my race review videos, then you probably know I've got a little bit of an issue with the slipstream. I blame it for a lot of the problems with Gran Turismo Sport and Sport mode, and personally, you know, I think it's the big reason why we have so much bad driving, dive bombs and bad overtakes. But that's for another video. There is another video on the channel where I explain all my reasons for that. Do check that out if you want more in-depth analysis on that. But back to this one. This video I did want to get out yesterday, but had a few issues with Gran Turismo 7 and trying to set up this comparison. For example, it took me nearly 6 hours of gameplay to get Special Stage Route X unlocked, and the rolling start kind of distance thing in the custom race for GT7 seems to be bugged to just be automatically onto 15 metres, so I couldn't set up an actual comparison with a rolling start that was identical between the games. They also seem to start in a different place on Special Stage Route X as well, so I had to actually resort to using a grid start. So as we get the first test underway here on Gran Turismo Sport, you can see we launched off the line there with a grid start, traction control on 1. Now I left traction control on just to, it was kind of just to eliminate a variable, because obviously I didn't want to kind of disengage it at different times between the two tests, and it actually leads to quite an interesting little thing that I found out about traction control in Gran Turismo 7 that I'll talk about just a little bit later on in the video. But you can see firmly in the slipstream here, we're in the Ford Mustang GT, identical settings between the two cars here, and we get to 2,700 metres. We actually have used that slipstream to slingshot past the AI car. So 2,700 metres for Gran Turismo Sport. Let's move on to Gran Turismo 7 now. You can see exactly the same start procedure, grid start, Special Stage Route X, traction control on 1, traction control is left on throughout the test, and it's the same car with the same brake horsepower and weight stock settings between both games as well. So now we're in the slipstream here in Gran Turismo 7, and I think you can actually maybe see straight away that it doesn't quite appear to have the same pull. Now there has been a few, I've seen a few people talking about the slipstream in various streams and videos, and most people do seem to believe that the slipstream is maybe a little bit weaker, but we're putting the science to test here, exactly the same test conditions, cars, and let's see how that result is going to unfold. So 2,700 metres for Gran Turismo Sport before we got the overtake made, and it's nearly 3,100 metres in Gran Turismo 7. So we can confirm, going by this test anyway, and these cars, that the slipstream would appear to be around about 20% weaker in Gran Turismo 7 compared to Gran Turismo Sport. So that's a good thing in my opinion. Quite pleased with that. I wish it was maybe just a little bit more, maybe about around 33% weaker compared to Gran Turismo Sport would have been ideal, just like Gran Turismo Sport actually it used to be compared to itself. I've got the back-to-back comparison here between the two games, and that little caveat that I wanted to kind of talk about with traction control is that in Gran Turismo Sport, with traction control enabled, every gear change you make activates the TC and can actually slow the car down just fractionally, and that doesn't appear to happen in Gran Turismo 7, which does mean that traction control is more viable to use in GT7 compared to Sport. But the effect it has on this test is that I actually think it kind of masks that difference between the slipstream between both games, because I think had we disengaged traction control, that difference would actually have been a little bit bigger. But pleased to confirm the slipstream is weaker in GT7 compared to Sport. I'm happy with that. Hopefully you are. If you are, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next video. Goodbye now.